This young fledgling is now in a tower restraint, and the reason for that is we're going to be grooming partially his flight feathers. Yes, I know. You've been flying around quite a lot for some time now, and he's now just flying a little bit too much, and he's going to get himself into trouble when he arrives to his new home. Therefore, we will demonstrate different techniques in grooming the flight feathers. It's a very personal decision, it's a very personal choice, and it has raised serious amount of concern over the past 20 years in the avian community. But it is nonetheless, for many, considered to be a necessary thing to do. And I am in a situation where I need to ensure that this bird that is now leaving our care will not fly into a window in a pet store or will not fly over a hot stove.
But I'm only going to cut about 3 I'm going to start with because
yes.
I don't want him to drop to the ground.
And Kevi is always very concerned about how gradual we do things onto our fledglings, and especially the technique that we use. And this is why, even though we're quite agile, both of us, to hold this bird with our bare hands, and larger parrots for that matter, it's no longer the practice that we use here. We definitely try and raise our baby birds to be very comfortable on towels, and therefore we're able to restrain them safely. And we'll show you the demonstration here, and Kevi is going to mention how important it is to follow a few steps now. Now, we forgot to mention, but it's very important, that we inspect the bird's feathers and flight feathers on his wing to make sure that there's no growing feathers there. We wouldn't want to be inadvertently cutting into a growing feather.
Right.
So we're putting the bird on his back, and using the towel wrap, we're actually not putting any pressure on the bird's body at all. So we're not constricting his air sacs or putting too much pressure over his neck or his body. I'm actually using 2 little tips of my finger to hold the top here, and Kevina will be spreading out the wing.
And I make sure his feet are out of the way.
The feet must be wrapped into the towel base here so that they don't get tangled up into the scissors.
I'm going to hold him directly at the shoulder, firmly, to make sure he doesn't move out of position and injure himself. And I'm only taking 3. I'm taking them just underneath the secondary cover.
Yes. Now, in doing so, you're also preventing that when the bird brings back his wing and tucks it back into his body, he will not be discomforted by the sharp cut feathers that are remaining.
Yeah.
Now we're tucking the wing feather back into the towel wrap, and we're now going to be demonstrating to you how we can also do this in another fashion. We can actually put the bird on his side or close to my body, which is a very comfortable position as well, and we can then just simply spread out the bird's wing. Now this is also a position that's one that's acceptable, depending on the bird's ability and comfort zone.
So now I just need to check underneath and make sure.
And once again, I'm not putting any pressure on the bird's body because I'm using the towel wrap that's actually going around his head to prevent him from squiggling out too much. Now this is a very partial flight feather grooming. Have we done 3? We've done 3 on either side.
Yep.
Now we don't really like to take the bird out of the towel right away. We don't want him to associate this procedure now with something that was a bad experience. So we usually then take a moment to preen the bird and reconvert him, and of course praise his very good behavior. And then gradually we'll put the bird down and allow him to fly around a little bit so that he can get used to how much feathers have actually been cut and how much power now these flights are actually offering. Now it's very important to note as well that the nails have not been groomed on his bird. Now despite that he is an older fledgling, he is still a little bit unsure sometimes of his perching ability. Chicks that have been nurtured and educated in your nursery can be desensitized to feather grooming by gradually trimming one flight feather at a time. Ideally, this is done gradually over a period of weeks. Exercising the bird throughout this process will familiarize the bird with his new flight abilities.